What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Culture 316 podcast. I'm one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Ahisi.
Joined with your other co-host, Mel. What is that, people?
First and foremost, we got to thank everybody for popping out to our 316 space for the Royal Rumble. I got a little bit caught up because I was at a gig. It ran late or
My
whatever.
connection was ghetto.
And Mo's connection was ghetto, so it was a mess all around. But we have an opportunity to make amends because this Sunday, February 4th, WWE NXT presents Vengeance Day, and we are going to have a 316 space. So if you were there for the Royal Rumble space, be sure to pull up for the Vengeance Day 316 space. Once again, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, be sure to give this show a 5 stars and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But we're not even gonna waste any more time. We're just gonna get right into the show. So obviously, the first big piece of news, arguably the biggest piece of news in the past week and a half in pro wrestling, is that Vince McMahon has officially resigned from World Wrestling Entertainment after allegations of sexual assault and sex trafficking had emerged. Former WWE employee Janelle Grant is filing a lawsuit against the former CEO for allegedly pressuring her into having sex with him. She was also allegedly offered $3 million to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Just to let you guys know, these are all allegations. There were also text messages that were leaked that show Vince was sharing explicit photos. Once again, these are rumors and reports and allegations, so nothing has been confirmed yet. But I wanted to know how you felt that essentially Vince is gone. Vince is done. He's out of WWE, and granted, it's because of these sexual assault and trafficking allegations. But I just kind of wanted to know what your take was on it.
God, that was a disturbing read. I, if you got through the whole entire read of all the details, bless your soul, because I couldn't. I was really uncomfortable. Um, and if everything that was there from what I read was true, I feel incredibly sorry for Janelle. Um, I feel sorry for any other woman that's been involved in Vince's sex trafficking, as well, because I don't put it past this very strange man. Um, that I noticed that other women came forward that were trying to imply that they're happy that this came to light. Like we saw people like Maria Kanellis step forward and whatnot. So it was just disturbing, but strangely a beautiful thing to happen, because it's just like, all right, well, if one person comes forward, then hopefully later on in the future other people could come forward. And it's nice that this man is being taken out of his position of power, because he's clearly abusing it. And then and it's crazy too, because from what I understand, the poor girl didn't even get like paid back entirely. She only got 1/3 of her payment, which is gross. It's so gross. The whole entire thing is gross. What he said about her was gross. What he's objected to was gross. I'm sure she was down on hard times, and that's why she was engaged in these acts. But otherwise, it's so manipulative. It's so disgusting to take an employee and force her into these acts and pass her around to executives and utilize her to pull allegedly bigger stars. We saw some names that looked familiar. One that was alleged was Brock Lesnar, which that just had my mind boggling, because the first thing I did was think about his wife, who we never hear from.
Absolutely.
I don't even know if they're still together. But I just don't understand how your wife could actually sue for sexual harassment years ago. Um, and then you're engaging in the acts with the same individual that she sued against. Like, it's just layers of sickness, because it just makes you ask so many questions, like who else was involved in these acts that are wrestlers that we looked up to, that we enjoy watching. You know what I mean? Like, we just found out what we did about Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho was part of WWE. It's just like, how long has this been going on for? It's gross. It makes my skin crawl. It makes me want to point fingers at people. I don't know if I want to yell at Stephanie, if I don't want to yell at Triple H as well. It makes me wonder, like, how much does Shane even know? Is that why Shane's not really involved? It's so messy. It's so uncomfortable. To answer your question, I'm very much happy that he has no parts in the company because he doesn't deserve it. He's a god awful face and representative for the company. Um, and it just sucks because like I love WWE. I can't stand Vince McMahon as a human. I think he's vile. I think he's disgusting. I think he needs to be locked up. The same way I feel about Trump, the same way I feel about Vince, man. Like, it's disgusting individuals. No wonder they're best friends. Um, I wish this man was locked up, and it takes the air out of like my childhood loving
Yeah.
WWE as much as I do. It's like my introduction to loving pro wrestling, and to know that like this man that kind of like crafted this hobby that we all have. It's just
Mm.
this sick individual, and that people that we loved and looked up to were also involved in the acts. I feel very
Right.
sorry for Janelle. I hope she's somewhere healing from the situation. I hope she also gets the rest of her fucking money back, because I think it's disgusting that like he has, apparently according to sources, Vince has a history of only paying you back like your first payment and that's it. It's disgusting. Like, how are you a billionaire? You're not gonna. I just. All right. I digress. I digress. Disgusting. Disgusting. I hope Triple H. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm not even sure if I feel comfortable with Triple H taking over after everything that I heard. Who do you feel comfortable with taking over with all this? I'm asking so many questions, on top of questions.
Well, I think we have to. I feel like in order to kind of address this properly, I think we have to put everything in proper context. I
Yeah.
feel like, is there a need for a particular CEO or a chairman at this point in time? I actually don't think so,
Really.
because prior to when, I guess I should say this, if this happened 2 3 years ago, there would need to be another CEO or chairman, right? But
Right.
obviously a lot has happened since then, right? With
Mhm.
TKO acquiring WWE, there's this kind of merge board of directors. Nick Khan, even though he's not necessarily the CEO, has certainly been at the helm of all operations as it pertains to WWE. He's been kind of the leader, the guy in charge. If there was anybody who would have to take over the operations of WWE at this point in time, I think it's Nick Khan, because when we're talking about the last 18 months, some of the most progressive moves have either been made at the hands of Triple H or of Nick Khan. And when it comes to these deals, a la the $5 billion Netflix deal, all these different media rights deals of all these different companies, that we have to credit Nick Khan for that. So if there was somebody to take over for Vince McMahon, it would probably be Nick Khan. As it pertains to these allegations, though, obviously this is sickening. This is disgusting. Um, Not necessarily for him sexually assaulting one person, but it seems as if this was a consistent thing, right? These are not this is not the first time allegations have come up. Um, it seems like this is a habitual thing, and obviously it's not right. It's not a morally sound thing to do, and it was the right move for him to resign, for him to leave WWE. Um, but I think it was interesting because Whitney said something in the group chat that I kind of want to bring to life in here, and that is that this is not necessarily a WWE problem. This is a culture of wrestling problem, right? It happens when you have an industry that's male dominated, that's power hungry. You have people in positions of power that are inclined to do these things. Like, obviously, we also heard about other people in other companies doing something similar. Obviously, the whole coming out movement, we saw wrestlers sexually assaulting, other women. So this is not something that's exclusive to Vince McMahon per se. This is something that it's a common thing in the pro wrestling industry, and I think that in order for real change to happen, it has to be a holistic change, not just with leadership, but things that happen in the locker room as well. And so I think that these allegations coming to light, I hope, is the beginning, or the beginning of a turning point. You know what I mean? For the entire wrestling industry, obviously Vince being out, but also we need to work towards a more ethical wrestling industry where people of all genders and all walks of life feel safe, and they feel protected, and they feel seen, and they feel heard, so that things like this won't happen again on any level. But yeah, that's really all that I had to say about it. Obviously, like you said, like the read was very, very disturbing. Couldn't get through it. And on top of that, your heart goes out to people like this, regardless of how much money she was offered. Um, having being violated is not a matter that's comforting, if that makes sense. And so I just my prayers and my thoughts and my love goes out to her. But we want to know how you guys feel about these sexual assault allegations, sexual trafficking allegations. Let us know in the comments below. Uh, but we're moving on. We're moving on because this past Saturday night, the Royal Rumble emanated live from St. Petersburg in Florida, I believe. And it was an eventful one, to say the least. So I wanted to know, what were some of your impressions on this year's Royal Rumble?
Well, I was very lit when I watched it. So the parts that I mainly remember was the rumbles. And I remember most of it. And I remember having a great time. Cause last year I was bored. I was bored as shit, and I was so mad. I was so mad. I was so disappointed. Um, at that point, I done lost my favorite girl, Sasha Banks, and while she did not come back for this Royal Rumble, I can't even say that I was disappointed by the performance that we got, the surprises that we got, and the winners that we got. Um, I want to respectfully say that probably was the best women's Royal Rumble out of all of them that I seen, and that was really hard to top because Bianca Belair won one of the Royal Rumbles, and y'all know how she's my favorite, so I had that way up there. Um, and the one before that was also way up there for me from 2020, I think that was. So 2020 and 2021 were probably my favorite women Royal Rumbles. I'm gonna arguably say that this one's my new favorite women's Royal Rumble. Um, and I just love the fact that the highlight was a focus on Black women. We got Trinity back, Naomi, and she put on one hell of a performance. I was super excited to see her back. Of course, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, all right, we got Naomi. Is Sasha gonna be number 30? Like, that'd be a treat. Are we gonna get AJ Lee? I did not get either or. Um, and I wanted to be disappointed, but I couldn't. Um, the part that really just got me the most was being able to see Jay Cargill. I can't say her name. Jay Cargill debut. She looked phenomenal, by the way. She looked like a star, and I got the stare down that we all been looking for. And it was her versus Bianca, and my heart just kind of like skipped a beat for a moment when I got that frame of them holding Liv and Becky in the air, dropping them on the ground, and it's like, yo, this is business. This is business between me and you. And like for a second, I wanted to see them go, and then of course, in WWE faction, they kind of like had the interference just to cock tease us, and we got to see Jay perform. I thought she kept up very, very well for someone who we haven't seen wrestle in many months since she's left AEW. Um, it was just fun. The whole entire thing was fun. The pacing was fun. I didn't see any like stupid spots outside of maybe what they were trying to pull with what was her name? Was it Casey? There was somebody who was trying to pull a Naomi spot. Every single year Naomi does something really tricky for the camera lenses, and I think they try to replicate it with somebody else. And I think they botched the spot. I think it was Kyrie. Was it Kyrie? I can't hear you.
My mic was muted.
Yeah.
Kyrie, when she was on like the board, like the board at
Yes.
the I remember that. Yeah,
That was the only botch I think I saw, and it looked like Oscar and her were having to talk on the end. That was kind of funny for me to watch. But she tried. She tried. Not everyone could be Naomi. Like, Naomi has done
right.
it all. Like, all. I thought the women's was so fun. I really enjoyed it. I love the takeaway for it, and I'm not mad at the winner. Um, and then for the men's, we were all hoping and praying that it probably was going to be CM Punk. We did not expect a duplicate winner, but the way they played it out with Cody, I also couldn't been mad at it because, I mean, we've been telling Homeboy to finish the story, and
Mm-hmm.
especially knowing the news that we know about the person we wanted to win, it kind of worked out.
Right.
That
Literally.
would have blown if he actually did win and
Win.
then found out you're injured, because like, what do you even do in that situation? So they ironically made the right call, It was fun. It was like a heroic win for Cody. Made me excited for WrestleMania. And that's what the Royal Rumble is supposed to do. It's supposed to be the pay per view that just jumps off the whole entire year. And I just love, like, I feel like WWE has been consistently doing very, very well. Like, it
Yes.
feels nice to feel excited to be a fan again. It's actually a little bit nice to be wrong sometimes for some of the outcomes, because you're not supposed to know who's actually going to win the Rumble. It's supposed to feel like it could go to maybe at least 5 people,
Yeah.
like it did back in the day. And Cody was on the list, and the way they executed it, that was phenomenal. I really enjoyed myself. Definitely got to rewatch the pay per view again. I think. Oh yeah, the other part I like was the stare down between Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. That shit was fun as fuck. I love that match. Anyways, I think it was great. Honestly, I want to rate it like a 9 out of 10, maybe
Mm.
9.5 out of 10.
Ooh, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I
That's
thought it
good.
was super fun. What do you rate it, and what are your takes from the Rumble? Any
I
highlights?
I was able to watch it again, and I would probably be on par and say that it was a 9.5 out of 10. Um, where do I start? So I think I could start with the women's Royal Rumble. Um, Obviously the Jade Bianca interaction was fantastic.
Yep.
I love the sequence in which Jade debuted though, because Nia Jax had been dominating the entire Rumble, eliminating person after person, brutalizing person after person. That pre-workout is kicking in. And brutalizing person after person, throwing people out the ring, and then you see Jade come and effortlessly lift Nia Jax up and then eliminate Becky and eliminate Naomi. Speaking of Naomi, I was really, really glad to see her back. Obviously, she was someone who was rumored to return. She was previously in TNA. She worked her last match not too long ago against Jordan Grace for the TNA Knockouts champion. And speaking of Jordan Grace, she
Crimson Slit.
also made an appearance at the Royal Rumble, making her the second TNA Knockouts champion to be a Royal Rumble entrant. The first, obviously, was Mickie James, which I also thought was a really, really cool moment. The fact that WWE is doing things like this and including TNA, I think it shows that they are more willing to uh, do business with other big wrestling corporations, and seeing kind of the trajectory of TNA, and seeing that TNA Knockouts belt on TV, I think was also just a really, really cool moment. And then obviously when Naomi and Jordan were in the ring, they were able to kind of reference their TNA rivalry, which was literally a couple weeks ago. So I thought that that was just really, really cool and interesting to see on a WWE product. And, you know, obviously the last, I think I would say 10 to 15 minutes of the Women's Royal Rumble was obviously like the highlight of the night. As I mentioned before, with Bianca and Jade's kind of standoff, that was great. Also, seeing Tiffany Stratton having the performance that she had, because she did great in the Rumble.
Oh
And
yeah.
I don't think that a lot of people talked about it, because I think so many people were focused on Jade's debut that they weren't focused on everybody else. Um, I think Tiffany did her thing. And I'm super glad that Bailey won. I don't think we're talking about that enough. I feel like her being, I think she was in there for 63 minutes, meaning she's been in there longer than anyone ever in a women's Royal Rumble. So the fact that she was kind of the Iron Woman and the winner of the Royal Rumble, I think it's just a really cool accolade to add to her very, very storied career. And now I think it's safe to say that we're going to see her and Io at Mania, which I think is going to be very, very interesting in regards to the damage control story. So I'm very, very eager to see that. The Fatal Four Way for the WWE title, I thought was very, very entertaining. I thought that they booked it perfectly. Um, and I think it kind of set the stage, right? I feel like it was able to tell multiple stories at once. I think we're going to get AJ and LA Knight potentially at Mania or Elimination Chamber. I think we're going to get Solo versus Randy Orton at Mania. I also believe that we're going to get Roman versus Cody potentially, but I think that the foundation of that was laid in that match, especially when AJ took the pin. And considering that LA Knight had been like, hey, I'm due for a world title shot, a WWE title shot, and I'm not getting it because AJ's in the way. So I think this just kind of adds to that feud. The U.S. Championship match was also pretty entertaining. I love the way that KO beat on Logan after the match. It reminded me of when he was a heel. And I think that that's the type
Yeah.
of Kevin Owens that we really, really miss. And I'm glad to see that element of his character back. And then obviously the men's Royal Rumble. I thought was pretty cool. Seeing like Carmelo Hayes there and stuff like that was pretty dope. Um, at the end when it was just Cody, Drew, and Punk, and Punk got injured, somebody on Twitter, I don't know if this is true or not, said that it looked like he not only told the ref that he was injured, it looked like he was signaling for Cody to win as opposed to Punk, as opposed to himself. And if Punk did that, I think that that's very commendable of him, because he could have easily, one, not even acknowledged his injury and just won it and then be like, oh, I think something's wrong. But he used that moment to be like, hey, Cody needs to win. I'm injured. I can't do this. Um, so I think that that was really cool. And we'll talk a little bit more about Punk's injury, but overall, I just think it was a very interesting show, and I think it was a great way to kind of lay the foundation of what we are looking for in WrestleMania 40. Um, but while we're on this topic of Punk, I think it's safe to segue into our next segment, because it was shortly after the Royal Rumble, it was announced online that CM Punk had sustained a major injury, and it said that he had tore his tricep. Um, and he will be missing, and it was kind of later reinforced on WWE Monday Night Raw. Um, Looks like he's going to be missing this year's WrestleMania. His timetable is not necessarily known public, but it could be anywhere between 4 to 6 months or 8 to 12 months. How do you feel about the Punk injury, considering that he was essentially the favorite to win the Royal Rumble and was looking to main event Mania with Seth Rollins?
Well, I mean, it's unfortunate
Yeah.
because whatchamacallit, I think the whole reason of trying to acquire Punk is that you wanted to boost ticket sales and people watching for WrestleMania. You wanted to give him his WrestleMania moment. It would have been like a positive feedback loop for both business and for like the fans if he won. I'm upset with the outcome that we got with the winner, as I previously stated, because it gives Cody an opportunity and it gives Drew an opportunity. I was trying to look at the injury spot, and
Mm.
it looked like a DDT. Oh no, I said
Yeah.
DDT.
DDD.
Sorry, y'all. I'm still waking up, and then the pre-workouts just kind of taking the rest. But um, it looked like a DDT took him out, which I don't even understand how. I'm looking at it like several times on loop, and it's like, how do you even do that?
His arm, I think he landed the wrong way.
Like, see, he had his arm bent or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't,
Yeah.
because he gets injured so much. It's like he's made of glass, and I keep forgetting that Phil is getting really old. Um, and it's unfortunate because, like I said, um, I would like for him to still be part of WrestleMania. According to the promo that we got on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
he said that he'd be there just in time, which I don't put it past him because it's a tricep injury. I want to Google real quick. How long does it actually take? Does it really take 8 to 12 weeks to recover from a tricep injury?
8 to 12. They
8 to
said,
12?
I think 4 to 6, between 4 to 6 months or 8 to 12 months. I think it's either or.
Let me Google this real quick. That's a long
That's a
ass
long
time.
time.
Recovery time. I just had to. Usually about 6 months. Ooh, if it's
Yeah.
severe. Ooh. I
Yeah.
don't, I, I don't think we got 6 months, Phil. You're gonna have to figure that out or wrap it up. I mean, you could make it to something heroic because he's a baby face, technically.
He could easily, that could easily, if he has a 6 month recovery time, that could easily set up a feud with Drew McIntyre
It can.
for
And
SummerSlam.
right. I mean, this is what you could do about it. You could pull Cody Rhodes and show up with your your injury purple and black and
Yeah.
do the damn thing and make it worse and take the time later on to recover and have a even more bigger babyface comeback. But don't know if Punk really moves like that.
Right.
But it's like I feel like when one door shuts, another one opens. So maybe if not this pay-per-view, he has his moment. I mean, SummerSlam is always there for him
Mm-hmm.
to have it. That's like a second WrestleMania for us. So it's unfortunate, really, for the fans that bought their tickets.
Yes.
Is what it comes down to. But seeing the way Drew handled it, because he's the one who allegedly inflicted the injury, and he's just kind of been really doubling down on just being as dig-headed as possible. It reminded me very much of the Mae Classic when Tegan Knox was booked to win,
Yes.
and Rhea Ripley was very new. Like, she was a fresh face. She looked like a blank slate around the time, because around the time she had like this girly soccer girl look
Yeah.
with the longer hair. And she looked a little confusing. You couldn't tell what she was because she had no edge to her. But she
Right.
took the fact that Keegan Knox blew her kneecaps out and then just bullied the girl for months. And that's when they, Triple H and them found like gold in her,
Yes.
and when she got on to UK, she was like the perfect heel to book towards the first title match for
Right.
the women's belt. Um, and Drew, I feel like they fumbled Drew many times to the point where, while he still has some fan retention because we appreciate Drew and we know what he's capable of, I feel like some people kind of like gave up on him, or they're not
Mm.
as excited about him, but I feel like he's genuinely trying.
Mm.
But it's just like now it's just like he has this opportunity to really lean into it, and he's hilarious, bro. I saw like this meme of him trolling Punk with the grave,
Yep.
and I think someone put his old theme song, like his old theme song from like ECW over it. That shit had me crying. I mean, he had like something on TikTok where he was mocking doing a tricep workout and smiling like a dickhead. I mean, he let him know during his promo on Monday that like he was happy, he prayed for this. He's really leaning into being a heel, and it's good shit, and it'll pass time. You could let him take over, do his thing, get his own opportunity, because I really do
Hmm.
think they fumbled Drew back in Europe. I feel like he really should have been champion, personally. Um, so it's like, all right, well, Punk can't eat now, but it doesn't mean Punk can't eat later on when he recovers, because he is a big name. He's the biggest name they got signed currently that's active on the roster.
Right.
So he could always get his opportunity, but Drew can't.
Very true.
So, and so can't Cody, because it felt like for Cody, we've been a little bit confused on what is going to happen here. Because it's just like, bro, you've been trying to finish the story for how long?
Right.
you know, it gave him a W. So now Cody could go take it and run during WrestleMania, maybe get his moment, but so can Drew.
Right.
So I don't think it's a bad thing. It's bad timing, yes, but I don't think anyone's really losing, and I feel like Phil knows he's not losing.
Right.
So I'm not I'm not mad at it. I'm enjoying it, because that's also another fun thing, as I previously stated. The same way I was excited for the Royal Rumble with the idea that it could have went several ways. WrestleMania shouldn't always feel like you know exactly what's going to happen, you
Absolutely.
know? So the fact that they're fast on their feet and they're just taking it, and everyone's hungry for their TV time and to make their character pop and raise their own stocks and like put themselves into a title picture or a bigger angle. It's great. I love it. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen now with the card. But what do you think about CM Punk's injury and the booking from now until WrestleMania?
So while I am disappointed that CM Punk is injured, first off, I hope that he recovers. Stuff like that, I can't even be empathetic with because I ain't never tore nothing. I sprained the ankle when I was 8. That's about it. So I only know how
Thug
much
shit.
that can hurt. But I hope Punk has a speedy recovery. Um, while I am disappointed that Punk is injured because Punk versus Rollins was already a thing in my mind, right? Like I was set on that. Like Punk and Rollins are going to go at it. They're going to have these epic promo battles. But I think that this makes the road to WrestleMania so intriguing because you don't know what's going to happen,
Nope.
right? We have no idea what's going to happen. And at the same time, before the Royal Rumble, we saw so many different seeds planted in so many different little areas that we can see one of those seeds come to fruition. For example, Gunter said that he was going to win the Royal Rumble and eventually go on to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Now,
Ooh.
obviously, he didn't win the Royal Rumble, but what if he goes into Elimination Chamber, wins the Chamber, and now we have Gunter versus Seth at Mania? Or or they can capitalize off of the segment, the brilliant segment that Seth Rollins and Cody had this past Monday on Monday Night Raw, where essentially uh, Seth Rollins said, and I quote, "Do you want the Hollywood title, the title for posers, the Hulk Hogan championship, where you have to politic your way to your top, or do you want Dusty's championship? Do you want the Workhorse championship?" And Seth Rollins, with that one promo, threw a wrench into what we thought WrestleMania could be for Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. So, and then on top of that, we see the heel work of Drew McIntyre. Here's what I would say about Drew McIntyre to kind of maybe compliment what you were doing, or maybe kind of go against what you were saying. I feel like with Drew McIntyre, because of the bloodline storyline and the reason he didn't forgive Jay, I feel like when that element got brought in, people started to empathize with Drew. And he became kind of like a lovable tweener slash heel. Then he brings in the element of my moment was stolen from me, right? Like I tried to have a WrestleMania moment. The pandemic happened. I couldn't do it in front of fans. Then
Yeah.
I tried to have my match at Clash at the Castle. I got cost the title in front of my home country. So that made you a little bit more empathetic. And now we're seeing something because when he was a face, he wasn't really clear on his motivation, I guess you can say, or his why. It was
Mm.
just like I'm just this face and I'm big and strong. But we didn't really know his motivation. And so now when he goes face to face against Punk and was like, "Hey, dog, I kind of prayed for this." It's like now we're seeing that bitterness that comes from those experiences that he had as a character, and we're seeing
Yeah.
it come to fruition. And we're seeing it in a light that it's like, not only does this make sense, but you can now play off of this for the rest of God knows how long. And you can just be
Mhm.
going around injuring people. You already did it to Sami Zayn. So you doing it to CM Punk made a lot of sense.
Mhm.
And I just think that we're about to see a career or a character renaissance for Drew McIntyre because of that attack that he had on Punk. He's a
Mhm.
super heel now. And so I feel like I'm very interested to see what comes of him, because it could be him and Seth at Mania. Who knows? I don't want to see that match again, but who knows, right? Um, who knows? I think that there's so many, like obviously the Punk injury is unfortunate because you don't want to see anybody go down, especially a guy like that with as much hype and as much build as he had. However, none of us know what's going to happen for WrestleMania, and I think that that's the most exciting part about this entire thing. So that's really all I had to say about it. But y'all can let us know in the comments below about how you feel about CM Punk's injury. He's slated to miss anywhere between 6 to 12 months of action, based on the severity of his injury. But let us know in the comments below if you're still excited for WrestleMania. But we are moving on because we can go from the voice of the voiceless to the actual voices of WWE. It was announced this past week that former commentator on WWE Monday Night Raw, Kevin Patrick, has been released from WWE, and this is causing a shakeup between both announced teams on Raw and SmackDown. First things first, Pat McAfee has returned this past Monday night to Raw, and it has also been rumored that Wade Barrett and Corey Graves will be the new announced team for SmackDown. So, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this shakeup, this release? Lay it on me.
I don't really have an opinion on Kevin Patrick getting released because I don't think I paid attention to his commentary too much. It wasn't bad. Like I heard his voice there. I just never paid attention. There's only few commentators in my entire life that I feel like I perk up when I hear their voice and I feel like their commentary truly adds. I mean, yeah, you had the JR and Jerry Lawler, despite him being a weirdo, combination. And then you had like Morrow from NXT. He always stood out to me. Um Pat McAfee, I feel like was like the last blessing I feel like has been on commentary because he's so like genuine. He
Right.
reacts like a fan, but like he's actually good at commentating and his commentary because he actually plays sports. So
Mm-hmm.
he has like his own little craft to it, which I feel like is important when it comes to commentary. I feel like you got to have the serious person that actually knows how to make proper calls, but you got to
Mm-hmm.
have a color person, whether they're either like a heel about it or they're just fun. And I just feel like Pat McAfee's just like, he's just cool. He's fun. He's great. Um, I like him a lot. Now, Corey Graves, I noticed there was like some shakeup about Corey Graves online. I feel like people just started like picking up things that he said before as a heel and was saying why are we utilizing him? You know, he's a dickhead, he's racist, he's whatever. And I feel like people like forget how heel commentators are supposed to work. He's not trying to be
Right.
liked.
Right.
Um and if he's provoking you, then he's doing a damn good job. He's supposed to either make you feel some type of way or he's supposed to persuade you into not really liking whatever you're looking at.
Right.
So I don't dislike Corey's work because sometimes he does pop me and sometimes he does irk me, but it's like, all right, job well done. So I don't mind him. Wade Barrett. I'm trying to think. Have I actually really paid attention to Wade Barrett, dog?
I have, but keep going.
No, it's just that like some people I just don't pay attention to, and I'm just paying attention to the match, and I got my own commentary. 'Cause I don't shut
Right.
the f up. So I'm not upset with the combination, but I have heard from reviews about Wade Barrett that people think he does a job well done. Now, since I don't pay attention to Wade Barrett, what kind of commentator is he? Is he like a just objective commentator? Is he more of a color commentator? Is he a heel? Is he a face? How do you rate this man?
He's more heel color. He's more heel color, and I like his style of commentary. He did some time, I believe, in NXT, and I was a fan of his work there. Um, but yeah, I'm a fan of Wade. I'm a fan of Wade. I'm also a fan of Corey Graves. Not just his commentary work. He had a podcast called After the Bell that I was actually a big fan
Oh, I
of
remember during the pandemic. Yeah.
during the pandemic and a little bit after that. And it was a really, really good podcast. I don't know why they canceled it, but they bugged out on that. But I feel good about these announced teams. I feel good about them. Ironically, part of the reason why I believe Kevin Patrick was fired was because a lot of people said that they did not like him on commentary. And then next thing you know, he got released. And then Katz was like, whoa, 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 whoa. We said we didn't like him on commentary. We didn't say to make him lose his job. But I mean,
Right.
you listen, this is the reason why you shut up and you think about what you asked for before you
Hmm.
start asking for things.
Right.
But I'm a fan of the work. To kind of piggyback of what you were saying about Pat McAfee, this is something that's I feel like long overdue. Pat is someone who is loved and revered by pretty much anyone who watches WWE television. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
dating back to NXT, his feud with Adam Cole. It was actually one of my favorite stories. Um, this is someone who can go on the mic, who brings the energy, and I think that especially if WWE is about to move into a new network with Netflix for 2025, they need to bring somebody on that's going to bring that energy, and I think that Pat McAfee is perfect for it. Um, but yeah, it's unfortunate that Kevin Patrick lost his job, but I am really, really excited about these shakeups in the announced teams. But let us know how you feel about Kevin Patrick being released, as well as these shakeup in the announced teams. So we are moving on because this Sunday is NXT Vengeance Day. Most notably on the card, we got Trick versus Ilya Dragunov.
Daddy.
Trick versus Ilya Dragunov.
Zaddy.
That's not. Those are not
Zaddy
my
Williams.
pronouns for him. Those are not my pronouns for him. He's just Trickard Williams. That's all that I know him as. He's just a great
Trickard
wrestler.
Williams is
That's his
crazy.
full.
First
That's
of
his.
all,
That's his full
that's
government name.
crazy.
Trickard Williams the first. Trickard Williams Senior. Um, it should be very interesting because the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is also concluding at this event, and it also features Trickard Williams the first. But we're gonna go through this
Zaddy.
card from the
Mm.
bottom of the card to the top of the card. I'm saying this for Mo because she'll dead be confused if I start giving names. So first thing we're gonna start with Dijak versus Joe Gacy in a no disqualification match. Who do we have winning this?
Oh, this is good. Dijak. I'm gonna go with Dijak.
Dijak. I'm gonna go with Dijak as well. Um, then we have the family versus this new, well, not new faction, but newly kind of renovated faction. The
Shannon's.
family versus OTM, also known as Out the Mud. Um, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce all the names, but OTM had, I think, Lucian Prince and Bronco, and they also had Scripps, but they just added Jada Parker, a woman, and the family also added Miss Adriana Rizzo. Um, so, with all that taken into account, who do we have, the family or OTM?
I'm gonna go with OTM because I recently became a fan of them. I don't know why, but it feels like they very much for the culture, and I love all the edits that you guys have been putting. Like they've been throwing like southern rap or other hip hop songs over their entrances. They
Mm-hmm.
edited them into like a GTA freaking edit before. It just feels like they're for the culture. I'm sorry, I'm a fan already.
I like OTM as well. I like OTM as well, and I feel like they're going to do what they can to put over the women in this match, because it's the first time we're really seeing Jada pop out on a stage like this. So I think OTM is going to get the win.
That's Bay.
Next, we have Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker versus Trick Mellow Gang in the men's
See
Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals. Who do we have?
the Eiffel Tower. Sorry, Trick Williams and
Oh
Carmelo.
my god. Oh. Oh. I was not expecting that.
He's gonna kick me off this show, y'all.
I'm like, yo.
My bad. Who's your pick?
I'm gonna go with Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker. Just for that. Just for that. I'm just gonna go for Baron and Braun. I'm gonna go for the whites in this one. All right, next match.
So
Oba
it's
Femi.
Black History Month. This is actually gonna be during Black History Month, and you're gonna go with them.
Yeah, yes I am. Yeah. Because you wanted to make it about France. That's why. All right, next match. Oba Femi versus Dragon Lee for the NXT North American Championship. Who do we have?
Oba, Oba,
Oba?
yeah,
I'm gonna go with
like
Oba as well.
for the culture,
For the
Oba.
culture. I mean, this is for the NXT Fubu Championship, so I'm expecting Oba to retain as
I
well.
hate you for
So
maintaining that.
it's the For Us By Us Championship.
No, the
Now
what you call it, the BET.
the BT Plus title. This is the
My God.
This is the UPN Championship. This is the NXT
God,
North
I'm
American.
done. Next match. Next match.
This is the championship that's defended after a rerun of Girlfriends. But next is the NXT Women's Championship. Lyra Valkyria versus are you yo, you sound like you know what? I'm gonna keep that one to myself. Next is for the NXT Women's Championship. Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez. Who do we have in this match?
Uh, mm, uh, I kind of want to go with Roxanne. I don't know what. We could go either. Let's say Roxanne. Let's say Roxanne.
You said Roxanne?
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna go with Lyra. I think Roxanne is like main. I think she's main roster ready. So I wouldn't be
Mm.
surprised if this is her last match in NXT. But moving on to the main event, Ilya Dragunov versus Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. Who do we have?
Zaddy Williams, of course, of course, of course. Um, no, but like in all seriousness, like Trick has been like on just an just an exponential climb. It's just crazy because like a couple years ago, people didn't really care for him. Like he had a boxing match or something stupid back when NXT was colorful, and everyone just thought had no interest in this man. The focus just mellow, mellow, mellow. And I just love the fact that over time, like I'm watching this man get so much attention, so much credit. Um on the main roster, he's getting obviously a lot of attention on NXT. My man's on the front of this card, like his picture is right there. He's
Yeah.
appearing twice on the pay-per-view. I also been watching his wrestling like really, really improve. Like people didn't actually look at him as a wrestler. They just thought, okay, he's funny and he's cute. Like, no, he really could do it all. Like he got a big personality, he had a great look, but he could for real wrestle, and he's only getting better. And it's like, if he's this good now, and this is NXT, I could see them doing something with him. Like the same just like gut feeling I got when I saw Bianca on NXT. I'm just like, yo, that's gonna be their pick. It's gonna be so easy with Trick. He's so likable. Like
Very true.
just
Yeah.
everything about him. He's gonna be like, I feel like they're gonna make him a babyface for a while if they ever got hit their hands on him on the main roster. And for some reason, maybe it's just because like it could be down to like the build and whatnot. But I feel like they would treat Trick better on the main roster than Carmelo if they ever had them go
Agreed.
singles.
Agreed.
I something about it. I just feel like he's going to be that guy, and he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. So I know I'm biased as hell because I love me some Trick Williams, but I really think also like an objective standpoint, this might be his moment, and they've been building towards this moment for a while. It's been a slow brew between them pissing me off about the North American champion, the whole Iron Survivor, the fact that they've been booking this man just kind of just like an underdog. Do we
Yeah.
even say an underdog? I guess he is like an underdog in a sense because he was in the shadow, and you got like this little B plot storyline going on with him and in Mello. I feel like this is his time to shine. So I'm praying that my man finally sees some gold around his waist. Thank you, Father Jesus. I need it. Nah, you're not about to not give my man a belt during Black History Month. I will riot.
Listen, I know that it's Niguary and all that, but I'm gonna have to go with Ilya Dragunov on this one.
I'm leaving.
Well, all right. I guess I'm just gonna have to finish it. The reason why I'm going with the reason why I'm going with Ilya Dragunov is because I feel like we're gonna get a Carmelo Hayes face turn. I mean a face turn. I feel like we're gonna have a Carmelo Hayes heel turn. And the reason why we're gonna have a Carmelo Hayes heel turn is because it's been something that's brewing really for a while now, right? And I feel like part of that is just because we've seen this attack on Trick, and then we've also seen like Carmelo trying to slowly take away uh Trick's focus on the NXT title, which is why they got him in this tag team tournament. It's almost as if the only time Carmelo wants to see Trick win is if Carmelo is by his side, and that's something that I feel like is just has been a very kind of. I kept going even though you left. I I'll explain again.
You're
So
still
I
being anti-black.
no whoa. First of all right, I'm the most blackest person in this frame right now. Don't you start with me, all right? So here's what I was saying. I feel like the reason why I'm saying Ilya isn't because I don't think Trick shouldn't be the champion. I feel like Trick should be the champion. But I'm also looking at how this Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams story has been being built, right? Ever since, obviously like some months back, we've seen Carmelo do little sneaky things, be really, really sus around Trick. And now he has Trick in this Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Cup. And it's almost as if he's trying to do things to take his focus away from the NXT title. And it almost feels as if Carmelo does not want Trick to be successful unless Trick is next to Carmelo. Unless Carmelo can share that success with him, then Trick cannot be successful on his own. And I feel like Carmelo is going to do what he can to try to sabotage Trick Williams' success. And for that is the reason why I think that Ilya Dragunov is going to win and Trick Williams is going to lose. You can't say that I'm anti-black because I picked Oba to win. All right.
Okay, one black person out like the whole card.
But like, what else? I
You
said.
didn't even choose them for the tag team.
I chose OTM. I chose
Okay.
OTM for the 6-man tag,
All right.
and
It
I
was
said Trick
solidified.
Mellow Gang. I said
Nah, nah,
Baron
you
and
chose the whites.
I
You chose
chose
the
Baron and
whites.
Braun because you wanted to talk about France. Is why. All right, I'm not gonna sit up here and let you talk about France, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in France with you. No, I'm going with the whites. That's it. That's the end of the argument. I think that Carmelo is
I'm
gonna.
friends with you is crazy.
I think Carmelo or Trick somehow some way they're gonna mess it up, right? But that's the reason why I chose Braun and Baron Corbin on this one. But I think that concludes our NXT Vengeance Day predictions. Let us know how y'all feel about these predictions in the comments. Give us your own personal predictions. We want to hear it. We want to hear it. But that concludes our show for this week. Thank y'all so much for kicking it with us. Once again, our next 316 space is this Sunday for NXT Vengeance Day. Hopefully, we will see y'all there. And if not, we will see you next week.